Good evening and welcome to the Metaphysical Bible Hangout. I'm Reverend Sherry James, Senior Minister for Understanding Principles Church in Inglewood, California, and I am over the moon to be here tonight, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you. I think it's going to be a powerful conversation because we've got a lot of stuff happening in our world today, and so I think you'll find tonight to be very practical things that you can do to make your life better right now. And so we're working from a text called Your Faith is Your Fortune. We're on chapter 13, 14. Hold on, let me tell you. Chapter 14, circumcision. Chapter 14, circumcision. Thank you, Alita. Chapter 13. And the question that we want to ask tonight with this chapter is, can we end suffering? You are probably aware that in the U.S. right now, we have a situation with children being separated from their families, and the separation has stopped, but no resolution has been put in place to return the children to, or reunite the children with the people who they've been separated from. And also there are some young ladies that were flown to nobody knows where. We don't know where these young ladies are. And it raises all kinds of speculation and uncertainty. And it just is, it's just painful to hear about, to read about. And so I wanted to really talk about that tonight because in my own experience, I literally just had to stop consuming the media because in any form, meaning I couldn't go on Facebook. I couldn't go, well, I don't watch the other news anyway, but Facebook replaces news. But even just, Google alerts and other things that you get, those are things that I had to just put the kibosh on because it just awakened this feeling of just rage and anger. And I know that those feelings are important because they point to needs that are not being met. So you can't ignore them and should not ignore them and should not bury them, but you can't stay in that space. And so I literally had to just turn it off because it was just, it was too much. And so when I read this chapter, I felt like this is such a timely chapter because it's about circumcision from a spiritual standpoint. And you're aware that circumcision from a physical standpoint, of course, is about removing the foreskin off of a male penis. But there is a such thing as a spiritual circumcision. And I believe that it's the spiritual circumcision that allows us to end suffering in our experience. And so that's what I want to talk about tonight. That's our conversation. And I want to give you what I call life hacks, 4 of them, to end the suffering in your own experience. So let's get going. I've got a couple of announcements. I want to talk to you guys, spend a little bit of time talking about Panorama of Truth. We'll get to that. Opening prayer, and then can we end suffering? And then I want to talk about 4 life hacks that will end your own suffering. This is so important to me that Thursday night happens because I believe that part of the reason that I was put here is to awaken you to your divine nature. That part of my job is to point you back to who you are and to remind you that you are connected to all there is. And in reality, you are all there is. There is no God in you. There's simply you, God, you. There's no separation. And I believe that the faster that realization dawns in you and in me, it changes everything. It's a game changer. And it's what I personally work towards and what I hope for you as well and for everyone in the world. The Bible Hangout is free, but it does cost to produce, cost to pay designers, to pay website designers, to all the different services. And so if this is blessing you and you want to see it bless other people, to consider making a gift, and you can do that right at revsherry.com, or you can go to PayPal. I've actually been putting the PayPal button in the show notes on the YouTube video. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the button. And I thank you in advance because every gift makes a difference. There's not about size, but it is about just the help to make sure that the costs that are involved with creating these broadcasts happen. I've got a couple of comments. Yes, thanks for the PayPal button. Thank you. So Let's get going. So this summer, and this is what I want to spend some time on because this is going to be so amazing. So there was I'll do it tonight when I send out the email, which hopefully you guys will get, about, that lets you know that the video is up on YouTube. We're going to have Reverend Deborah Johnson, Reverend Michael Beckwith, Les Brown, Greg Stamper, Reverend Dr. Derek B. Wells, Barbara DeAngelis, a couple other names that are going to be there with us this summer. This conference is so important that I want to take a few minutes to just encourage you to be a part of it. There is still some rooms that are available. This is a group of like-minded people who study the kinds of teachings that I've been talking about in the Bible Hangout for the last several years, that are coming together to celebrate the love that makes us one. That with all of the divisiveness in the world, that this will be that space where you can reconnect to that sense of oneness with all people, regardless of political party, regardless of choices that people have made in their lives, that you will be able to reconnect with that oneness. The four of the speakers did an interview yesterday morning on my friend Reverend Galen McDowell's podcast, Truth Transforms. And it was pure fire, like just, I cannot, like, it was just amazing. And they had a caller at the end who asked a question that I thought was so powerful, because she literally was in tears over the things that have been happening in our world with the children and the families that are being separated, but not just that, the police killings, and she just talked about losing hope. And when I tell you, between Les Brown, Michael Beckwith, Deborah Johnson, and Sheila McKeithen, and Galen McDowell, oh my God, it was just amazing. And it was just a snippet of what to expect in Atlantic City. So if you're on the fence, this is your encouragement to get off the fence and to really go and participate. Come join us. I'm going to be doing a Bible class there on, I don't know, they haven't told me the night that I'm assigned. We're also doing a tribute to my spiritual mother, the Reverend Dr. Delarice Lett. It's going to be a phenomenal, transformational experience. And if you have been looking for an opportunity to hit the reset button in your life, but I mean in a major way, not just to like take a little break, but something to kind of like spin you around and put you in the right direction, this is that conference. So it's August 1st through the 5th. You can register online at ufbl.org. The conference registration includes the cost of your hotel stay, and there are rooms that are available. There are singles, doubles, and triples, and I highly encourage you to be there. What I did ask, because I've been telling you guys that you can come just to see the tribute, but I learned that if we sell out of all of our room blocks that we have set aside for the conference, we will not have any space available for like one-day passes, that essentially the conference will be sold out. I won't know if there is room to do like a one-day pass, like if you just want to come up and join me for the Bible class that I'm teaching, or join me for the tribute to Reverend Della. I won't know whether or not that opportunity is there until registration closes on June 30th. So what am I saying? Come to Atlantic City, New Jersey. I cannot overstate what you're going to get from this experience, and it's worth everything that you have to do to get there. It will change your experience, no doubt. So come join me. I would love to see you there. It's going to be a remarkable conference, and every time I've ever been, it has been transformational. But with all the things that we have planned and the little snippet that we got yesterday from Reverend Galen's Truth Transforms, it's going to be amazing. I also want to let you know I'm going to be a guest on Reverend Galen's Truth Transforms next week, and we're going. Oh, he texted me. Let me tell you what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about why New Thought teaches prosperity. Why New Thought teaches prosperity. And so this is we're going in. And what you guys probably don't know is Galen and also Reverend Charles. The three of us are prayer partners. And so this is my brother from another mother. And I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. So the podcast broadcasts at 8 a.m. Pacific. So you can listen live. When it processes, I'll get the link. I'll be able to send the link out. It's going to be everything that I'm promising you it will be, just because Galen and I go in. So next Wednesday, the 27th at 8 a.m. Pacific, Truth Transforms. Definitely want you guys to call in and ask questions too. All right. Thank you for giving me that extra time. I really wanted to make that appeal for POT because it's going to be an amazing 4 or 5 days in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and I cannot wait. Okay. The scripture for this series is, therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. This lesson is so important to this particular scripture because you got to get out of your own suffering to get to the space of belief. You got to get out of your own suffering to get to the space of belief. And so this lesson is about removing those blocks, those things that keep you anchored to the reality of the world, and that this is a way that you disconnect from that and go into the truth of who you are. And so let's just relax, because this is a powerful lesson, and I'm claiming that, and I'm acknowledging it because it was powerful just experiencing it. And I really thank God for the anointing to teach this lesson and the clarity of thought. I thank you, God, for helping me to communicate. I want what is said to land, because we have people that we can help. We have people that we can do something for. And so I'm asking that this lesson land in our hearts in a way that moves us into action, that moves us beyond our own limitations and into that space where we are creating from spirit, where we are moving, living, breathing, having our being in you in a conscious way. And I thank you, God, for just working this truth in us, for letting it travel throughout our hearts so that we get it. Let us really, 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 really get it, God. That is my prayer. In the name and nature of Jesus, I affirm that this prayer is so, and so it is. Amen. All right. Can we end suffering? So on this what I'm about to read to you was borrowed from Michael Beckwith. So I'm not going to claim his words. This is not a direct quote, but this was the gist of what he said on this Truth Transforms program. When I sat down to really, when I sit and I read the chapter, I'm reading it, I'm studying it, but I'm also thinking about like what's happening in the world. Why is this relevant today? How do we use this? How is it going to get me closer to a relationship with I am? Those are some of the questions that I'm generally asking myself. And at this moment in time, there is just what feels like extreme chaos happening in our world with these babies who have been separated from their mothers. And I think about that, when I was walking out of the school today with Jordan, and I was thinking about just how heinous it is to do that, to have the option not to do it and to choose to do it. And and I would think of the fear of him being worried, like, where's my mom? Because you don't know what you don't know. You just know things are out of order. No, I want my mom. And I don't know where she is, and I can't put my hands on her. And, one of the needs, just basic human needs in our world, and I mean, for human beings, is a need for certainty. And so to throw babies into a loop of uncertainty is just mind-boggling. One of the basic we have, I think it's Tony Robbins, it talks about we have 6 basic human needs. We have a need for certainty, for uncertainty. We have a need for significance. We have a need for contribution. We have a need for love and connection. I think I may have one of those off. The certainty comes in a lot of ways from our families. And so to take babies whose basic need is the need for certainty, and to throw them into a loop of uncertainty is just, I don't have any words for that. I don't have any words. And so when I sat down to write this, I was really just wrestling with, how do we end this? How do we end this? Right. And I can't end what I haven't ended in me. Right. So that's the first thing. That if I haven't dealt with it in me, then I can't do it. I can't help somebody else. I can't tell you how to get to the mountaintop if I've never been to the mountaintop. We both discovered how to get to the mountaintop. So then I know one of my first courses of action is I've got to do something about the suffering in me. And, there's a quote from Mahatma Gandhi that says, suffering cheerfully endured ceases to be suffering and is transmuted into an ineffable joy. And he's not saying that you should suffer. Okay, trust that he's not saying that, but he's saying that I have a responsibility in how I receive what is projected onto me. I have some say in how I interpret what happens to me. I can name it. I've got that naming power. And so, as I was writing this, I was like, ooh, do I really want to write this? Because the tempers are so high, folks are fighting mad. Cussing on their social media posts. It just, so when I sat down to write, I was actually like, but I was like, no, I can't lie. I can't lie up to the truth that I've been studying. And, when I'm at odds with it, when I'm sitting and saying, this is just not right. I don't get this, God. This is awful. This is mean spirited. I always remind myself that this stuff is real black and white. It's like either work. The law of gravity is super black and white, and all of the spiritual laws are just as black and white. There's no gray area. There's no I may not be able to explain how, but I know that it functions according to law, so I can trust the law. And so I started looking at, all right, so then how do I respond to this? Who do I need to be in this moment? And that's the question that I'm putting to you is, who do you need to be in this moment? Because who you are being in this moment will determine whether or not you suffer through this experience, or whether or not you allow this experience to change what needs to be changed in you. But something that Michael Beckwith said that I thought was powerful for framing our conversation tonight is that there's a difference between the world and the planet. There's a difference between the world and the planet. That you can have two people standing side by side on the planet, but be in two different worlds. You can have two people standing side by side on the planet, but be in two different worlds. And it doesn't mean that one person is more compassionate and one is less, right? That's not an indicator. Suffering is not an indicator of compassion. In order to be effective, right? That's what we want to be effective. I want to be an effective change agent for God in the world. The only way to be that is to be connected to I am, which means when I go to I am, I've got to drop everything that's unlike I am. The only way that you can end suffering is to end your own suffering first. Moses had to get in the Midian desert and free his own mind before he could go back and be of any help to his Hebrew brothers and sisters. So I've got to free my mind. If you read the papers of Martin Luther King, what you will see, especially the stuff that he was doing at Boston University, what you will see is a man freeing his mind. He makes the conscious choice to identify as Baptist. But when you read his writing, you go pick up some of that stuff that he was writing when he was in seminary, it's all day long New Thought. In fact, there's an article that actually talks about those ideas. And his wife, Coretta, was a Unitarian. And if you know anything about the history of New Thought, the Unitarians were the precursors to New Thought. And one of their approaches to Bible study is metaphysical interpretation. So Martin Luther King chose to identify as Baptist, which is but if you read his papers, so what you read, besides reading a man who's New Thought, is you're reading someone who is freeing his mind. I can't give you what I haven't done. The only suffering that you have the ability to end is your own. Because I may lift someone, and you know this is true because you've done it in your families, or you've witnessed it be done in your families or in your friendships. You can lift someone out of a situation. You can make their circumstances better, but you cannot change their suffering. I have watched family members pay for other family members to have vehicles, housing, food, utilities, and yet that same family member that has been endowed with all of these gifts still suffers. You cannot end another person's suffering. What you have the ability to do is influence people through your own victory over your own suffering. Because there's something in the example of freeing yourself that tells somebody else that it's possible. And so your concentration then is on, how do I free my mind? Oh, wow. Alita says, my grandfather was Unitarian, which is why I was drawn to Reverend Johnny. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So this is a very important framework in terms of suffering. That when you walk into a space, have I developed in me what I want to give to somebody else? Because we're always quick to run off and want to give to someone else what we have not developed for ourselves. And I can't give you prosperity if I haven't unlocked prosperity in my own life. I can tell you some things that I'm studying. I can share with you the ideas that I'm exploring, but we on the path together. It is only in the realization of the experience in my own life that I can actually give you something, because now you've got a living example. Now you have a living example. And so there's a difference between the world and the planet. Two people both standing on the same spot or in side by side on the planet can be in two different worlds. Your work is to end the suffering that's happening in you. Because even if you lift someone out of an experience, if you have not lifted their mind out of the experience, they will simply recreate suffering with new clothes. And so what you must make your highest priority is your own self-development, your own personal development. And you have to know that that is not a selfish choice. That is one of the greatest choices you can make for someone, because once I have done it, I stand as evidence that it can be done. And it literally tears down kingdoms in the minds of people around the planet. The moment that Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, inside of a few weeks, several other people broke the same record. So you have to understand that there is that me being effective is waking up these ideas in my own mind. I am not telling you not to give right where you are. You have something to give right now. So give where you are right now, but recognize that there is that my give expands as I expand. My give expands as I expand. As I reduce suffering in my own experience, I make it a reality for you to reduce suffering in your experience. And so my work is being an inlet and an outlet. I get it to give, I learn it so that I can teach. Any questions on that before I move forward? I want to make clear, because I'm not telling you not to give. That's not what I'm saying. We live in a world based on universal law. You must give. You shall give. You can't get away with not giving, because that's just how this world is set up. All right, we clear? I got a comment here. Andrea said, Rev, did you see the post I tagged you in on the face? Yes, 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 yes. Yes, I thought that was wonderful. Yes, I did see that. I did see that. We everywhere. And I think that it's, I'll just say it. I think, because this teaching is for everyone. So please don't anybody misinterpret what I'm going to say. But I think that it is,
Mommy, cheese.
wait, honey, I'm teaching a class. I think that, or come over here so they can see you since you're going to interrupt my class. So I think that it is,
I said cheese.
This teaching has been passed down through centuries.
I said cheese.
Cheese, baby, come here. And this teaching has been passed down through the centuries, and I think that it is.
I'm just sleeping. That's your box.
Okay, I'll put it on the TV. Okay.
No. On the iPad.
I don't have the iPad. No. Let me finish, honey. Let me finish.
No, you do it there.
Can you give me a minute? I know I'm using this. Give me 1 minute.
Oh.
All right. This teaching has been passed down for centuries through different groups. At one point, it was kept alive by the Knights of the Templar. At another time, it was kept alive by the Rosicrucians. At another time, it just, the Transcendentalists. And in my opinion, in this season, it is being kept alive by Black women and Black men in this teaching, in New Thought. And I mean specifically Bible-based New Thought Christianity. There are many forms of New Thought. And I just find that fascinating. And something about that just lights my fire. And this is a teaching for everyone. So, I certainly don't want to suggest that this is not for everyone, but the people who are leading the charge, keeping Bible-based New Thought Christianity alive, right? Keeping it alive. It's us. And I take that responsibility seriously. I think that it's beautiful. So I want to give you these life hacks. Neville says, the veil to be lifted in spiritual circumcision is the veil of man. The veil to be lifted in spiritual circumcision is the veil of man. So we're multi-layered, right? We're not so I'm spirit, then there's soul, which has no that encases spirit, or spirit is really outside, but whatever. Then I'm soul, recognizing myself as Sherry, like this name, as Black woman, as American, as all these things, right? And the thing is that in Christ, there's neither Greek nor Jew, bond nor free, male nor female. These labels in a spiritual circumcision are what must go. And I also want you to get that the spiritual circumcision is not a one-time do and be done with it kind of thing, that it takes time to throw off these labels, to not identify with the labels that either you were born into, that the world gave you, or whatever. But when you connect to your source, when you connect to I am, you go to I am as a spiritual being, minus all the labels. And so you connect with that one love that connects all of us, that makes all people one. And when you do that, there's no way to do it effectively without dropping all of those labels. And so the first life hack is just don't forget who you are. Don't forget who you are, that you can be so identified with the labels into which you were born or given that you forget that I am spirit first. And what saves me, what enables me to get out of any circumstance that I'm in, is that I'm spirit. The reason that I can be healed, the reason that I can be cancer, the reason that I can turn diabetes around, the reason that I can go from poverty to abundance, the reason that I can reunite families, the reason that I can be an effective change agent for the things that are happening in my world is because I am spirit first. And so I must learn to put these labels in their right place. I must learn to put these labels in their right place. And so in the face of bigotry and hatred and whatever else, is to just affirm boldly, I am one with God. I am one with all people. I am one with all life. I am one with the one. When you are spiritually circumcised, what you are pulling back, what you are cutting off is the veil of humanness. I am spirit first. I am spirit. This is my primary designation is spirit. My primary designation is spirit. My primary designation is spirit. Really let that sink in. My primary designation is spirit. And so because that's my primary designation, I cannot be hurt. I cannot be hurt. Even if I'm frustrated, angry, pissed off, whatever it is, I still cannot be hurt. That whatever has been done to the exterior of me cannot be done to the interior of me. The interior of me remains untouched, unscathed. And this is also true of these babies. That no matter how heinous this is, and no matter how long it takes us to get to make this situation right, and I know that we will make this situation right, that we don't have the ability to damage the spirit of these young babies. We don't. If I can come back from all that I've been through, and you can come back from all that you've been through, they too can come back from all that they've been through. And so I work like hell to get them out of that situation. I don't sit and leave them there, but I don't at all treat them as if they are permanently damaged, because there's no such thing. And so my life hack then to end the suffering is not to forget who I am. Not to forget who I am. It doesn't mean stay in a suffering situation, stay in a less than ideal situation, work to make changes, but never think that what I have gone through damages me permanently in some kind of way, because there's no such thing. That the spirit that indwells me is undefiled. The spirit that indwells every child in every shelter, even the ones that we do not know where they are, is undefiled. And so it made me think of Genesis, is it chapter 50? What you meant for harm, God meant for good. You threw me in a hole because you thought you were doing something, that you were getting rid of your problem. But in actuality, you were setting me up for my greatest overcoming. You were putting me in the exact right place that God needed me to be in order to grow me into who I was meant to become. Never forget that just like every puzzle piece in your life has been organized and used for your overcoming, every puzzle piece in the lives of these babies is being organized and used for their overcoming. And so we have to keep that in mind and still work like hell to get them out of there and get them back with their parents. So this is not about not taking action, but it is about being in your right mind while you take action. Being in your right mind, being in your right mind, being in your right mind. You know, when you make decisions out of emotion, well, you just don't make good decisions. That's just the bottom line. You set up more problems for yourself than you can solve. So to take the time to circumcise the veil of humanness, to circumcise the belief that I am simply this body. I am not this body. I am the spirit that animates this body. The second one is to identify with I am only. So this is what he says. This is Neville. He says to remove the last veil, right? The final removing of the curtain. You're about to see the wizard. You drop your conception of yourself as man or as woman or as whoever you think yourself to be. by knowing yourself to just be. Instead of the consciousness, I am man, let there be just I am, faceless, formless, and without figure. This is easier to accomplish than many people think that it is. You can put yourself into what's called a hypnagogic state. Hypnagogic. The hypnagogic state is the state between waking and going to sleep. Now, there are 2 times during the day when we're naturally in this state, which is when we wake up, those 5 minutes when we're waking up, and those 5 minutes before we're falling off to sleep. We're naturally in a hypnagogic state, but you can put yourself in one. And what you do is you simply relax, and you can sit down or you can lie down, and whatever is comfortable for you. And what you do is you lower your eyelids and you raise your eyes about 45 degrees. So what will happen is you're actually looking at the area that we normally think of as the third eye. With your eyelids lowered and your eyes focused right there, that literally it drops you into alpha state quickly. And then when you're in that relaxed state, then you just take the mantra, I am, I am, I am, I am. If you persist, what will happen is that you will lose it's like a floating sensation. You lose the sense of being attached to this body, and I am simply consciousness. I am the unconditioned awareness of being. There's a poem from Rumi that's one of my favorite poems. I've quoted it many times, and I put it in the blog post today. And it says, the breezes at dawn have secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the 2 worlds meet. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. And that poem for me is so powerful because it's when you think of a door sill, like the frame of a door, the door sill, it's where the 2 worlds meet. That space between sleep and awake, consciously awake, is it's a door sill. There's 2 worlds, and the 2 worlds are meeting. And it's in that space that you can ask for what you really want and get the answer for how it's meant to come to be in your experience. So you can take any affirmation into that hypnagogic state and get your answers. And let me tell you what I mean. You can make this practical. Brand new car. So you get in that state, brand new car, brand new car, brand new car, brand new car. And bring up whatever answer you need. A couple days, get your answer, and act on any hunch that comes. Any hunch that comes. It is one of the most powerful things that you can do. Constance says, what state is it when you are asleep yet awake but cannot move and you are aware of both? Oh, I'll have to look that up. I don't know the name for that because that is like a waking state. And I know that I actually don't like that state. Oh gosh, I haven't experienced that recently, but when I do, it feels like paralysis. Oh, it is, it scares the crap out of me too. I had it a lot when I was younger. I remember it happening as a kid, and it just was terrifying. Hasn't happened recently, recently, like in the last, no, that's not true. I've had a couple of instances where I have been in my house asleep on my bed, aware that I'm asleep on my bed and hearing things in the house, but I can't wake myself up. But I would say at least in the last 2 years, I don't think that has happened. So yeah, I'll look up the name for that. I don't like that. That ain't what I'm talking about. All right. This is conscious awareness. This is, yeah. So now the next thing is you got to cleanse your understanding. You got to cleanse your understanding. This is, he says, this washing, in the chapter, he talks about the washing of the disciples' feet. And he says, this is a mystical story of spiritual circumcision, or what we would call the revealing of the secrets of the Lord. The revealing of the secrets of the Lord. Oh, Alita, you sleep, girl. Woo! That's, I, I hear you. Yes. She said, I don't like it either. I have it often. I also sleepwalk. Yes. Um, so in the chapter, he uses the washing of the feet, of the disciples' feet, to talk about the spiritual circumcision, and that this story is symbolic of what happens where essentially the feet, which represent your spiritual understanding metaphysically, are washed. And this washing reveals things to you. It clarifies things for you. And you can do a physical ceremony, but this is a spiritual ceremony. So the feet washing is symbolic of what needs to happen, because your feet represent your understanding. And something that Reverend Della would always say, and we're coming up on July, which is the month of her birth, but it's also the month of understanding. It's one of the spiritual faculties that we celebrate. And she loved that, because she would always say, you cannot do what you do not understand. You cannot do what you do not understand. And it was like a mantra. Like you would hear it at every fourth or fifth sermon. Like it was, just something that was a thing that she would repeat very, very often. But I had a very practical experience with that, because I was in seminary and we had to put together our practicum proposal for, had to be accepted before we could actually move forward with our practicum. The finished document was going to be upwards of 100 pages. I started working on, let's say it was due in October or August. I started working on it in like December, January. Because I was like, I'm going to knock this out. I'm going to do my best work, get it out the way. And I got to one part and I just stopped and I was like, what? And it was like, I couldn't make myself. Whenever I would schedule time to do it, I wouldn't follow through. I wouldn't, I would sit down to start working on it and I'd end up on social media or something, but I just wouldn't do it. And lo and behold, it was 2 weeks out. Now, I was smart enough not to try to write a 100-page paper one night before it was due. But 2 weeks out was like the panic monkey was just running all over like, it's here. And so I pick up the document, I go back to work on it. And the section where I stopped was where I had to write I had to create an annotated bibliography. Well, I know what a bibliography is, but I was like, this word annotated, I don't really know what that means. Meaning I thought it was like a formatting thing, like maybe an annotated bibliography is formatted differently from like a regular bibliography. Well, it turns out it's much different. Like it is not just a formatting thing. But what happened, I thought was amazing, is that when I understood what an annotated bibliography was and I began to do it, the document literally flowed out of me. Literally, like all of a sudden, all the rest of the sections, it flowed like a river. And what I learned is that, because I saw a pattern in my life, which is that I will often bump up against something that I don't understand. I may not even know that I don't understand. So like when I stopped at that point with the annotated bibliography, I didn't know it was because I didn't know what an annotated bibliography was. It was just like, okay, I'll come back to this. Like it didn't register that I didn't know. And so that was one thing. So it taught me that when I hit a block and I stop, it's because I don't understand something, even if I don't know that I don't understand something. Even if I don't know that I don't understand something, it's because there's something, but if I stop, that there's something that I don't understand and I need to begin to ask questions. And so this lesson for Reverend Della was, just kept coming back with that experience, but just in general, that when you feel stopped, you have to seek clarity. So this situation that's happening right now can feel super tiring. Just every day is just one more piece of bad news. It just, if it's not a kid being detained, it's a kid being shot. It just, and so you can feel paralyzed in these situations. And when you feel stopped, there is something there's clarity that needs to be sought. And the clarity of whatever it is will help you begin to move forward. You have got to set a remember never to forget that when you hit a roadblock, no matter what the roadblock is, that always the roadblock is solved by some type of clarity. And so then what you take into your prayer time then is about clarity on what is blocking you. What is it that I need to understand so that I can continue moving forward? That's what you're asking for. That's what you're asking for. What is it that I need to understand so that I can continue moving forward? Maybe you need to understand that these babies are protected. Not that you don't have the responsibility or the need to get involved and help, but that these babies cannot be permanently damaged. And you can begin to affirm that God is going to work this out in the right time. And whatever my part is in it, I will be available for it. The fourth hack is to look at your true self. Now, this I thought was powerful because he says that man is the foreskin hiding the head of creation. Now, I don't mean to be blue, but if you have seen an uncircumcised person, this is a very visual and visceral image. Man is the foreskin hiding the head of creation. All right, I don't mean for this to be a dirty class. In order to see the penis, you have to pull the foreskin back. And he's giving a very visceral image that this flesh literally encompasses us like a foreskin. There is a poem, I'll try to Google it for myself while I'm with you guys. It is Paracelsus, and it's a Robert Browning Paracelsus, and it's a powerful poem. But he says, oh, wait, you know what? It's in, I don't think I have the book up here. It's at the front of Eric Butterworth's book. I don't have it handy. No, here's one here. But he says, truth lies within you, no matter what you may believe. All right, I gotta find it. Read more. Truth lies within, no matter what you may believe. And he basically talks about this, that it being hemmed in by this flesh, right? And it's the flesh that makes all the mistakes. It's the flesh that makes all the errors. But this truth takes no rise from anything happening outside, that it only responds to that which happens inside. All right, I can't find the poem. And it's a powerful one, but it says that I am the Lord hidden behind the veil of man. I am the Lord hidden behind the veil of man. And so that when Reverend Della, toward the end of her ministry, she started teaching on Wednesday nights. Ray, you were there, at her home in Bel Air. And there were probably a good 10 of us that were consistent. I mean, a lot of people came in and out, so the class would grow, shrink, and expand. But there were like these consistent 10 or so people that were there consistently on Wednesday nights. And Ray, I don't know if you remember this lesson that she gave us, but she told us, she said, I want you to get in the mirror and look into your eyes until you see. I don't know if she used these words expressly, But what she wanted us to see was our real self. She said, look in your eyes until you see. Don't stop until you see. And, you know, people kept putting the exercise off. I mean, I don't know if we were just resistant to it or afraid to do it, or I don't know. I don't know. But I remember that, like, I know I kept forgetting to do it. I know that. But what she was asking us to do was to just get in the mirror and look at ourselves and just look in our eyes until you see your real self. And so she was very clear. Don't pay attention to don't pay attention to the blemishes. Don't notice the pimples, all that. Just keep looking in your eyes until you see. And so you gotta wait, babe. Okay? Just give me a second.
I want chocolate ice cream.
Okay. Can you give me a second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is the assignment that I'm giving you, is to just get in the mirror and look. Look until you see your real self. There is the you that animates this body, the life force that is more real than the body that looks so real to your human eyes, and see your real self. Rumi has a line in a poem. He says, stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. Stop acting so small. And what Reverend Della wanted us to see by looking in the mirror and looking in our eyes and looking through our physical self to the non-physical self is to see that I am not small. I am the universe in ecstatic motion. I'm not this bag of bones. I am the life that animates it. And that can be your realization, that when you are in a serious situation where you are just suffering and in pain, is to just get in the mirror and look at yourself and realize that I'm not this bag of bones. I'm in charge of this bag of bones, and I can tell it what to do. I'm going to tell it that it's not suffering. I'm going to tell it that it is being polished, that it is being changed, that it is being developed. You can have this conversation. You know that this is possible. Baby, give me a second, okay? That Jordan, that this conversation, you know that it's possible because great athletes have this conversation. When they go through the greatest pain that they have gone through, and they push their bodies to the end, and what helps them move to the other side is the conversation that they're having in their head. I'm not tired. I can do just one more. I'm not going to quit. I've got a little bit more left inside of me. I can do just a little bit. Like, this is the conversation they're having so that they can get beyond it. Well, if it's possible in that arena, then it's possible anywhere else. And so even in the midst of the darkest situation, that you can begin to have a conversation with yourself and tell yourself, this is not pain. This is making me better. This is not pain. This is giving birth to a gift inside of me. That there's something coming through me right now. See, when you look at your human self, yeah, your human self absolutely suffers. But when you look at your true self, you realize that there's some quality in you that is coming through into expression, even at your darkest moment. And if you can challenge yourself to connect with the real you, one, it falls away because now it has nothing to support itself. Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. I think that's powerful. And so even in this chaos, we have the ability to do something. The universal law is still at work. Something Deborah said in the interview on Truth Transformed that I thought was powerful. She said, Do you think that we didn't pray this moment in? That's happening right now, where the kids are in cages and all this. She said, you don't think we didn't pray this world in? She said, everything ugly that comes up because it comes up for the purpose of us healing it. And you can't pray for a world that works for everyone, which is something that we've been saying in New Thought for a long time. I know I've had it in many sermons, a world that works for everyone. You can't then think that you won't have to come face to face with all the parts of ourselves collectively that represent a world not made for anyone. And so she was like, listen, so she said, if you listen to the rhetoric of the people who feel like they lost something, well, what if you lost? That means we won. So like, it's just like you just didn't get your perspective right. It was so wonderful. And so she was saying that this is coming up to be healed. It's coming up to be healed. So we need to go ahead and just midwife this thing. Just midwife this thing on through. You know, when something is dying, it's just how costly is the funeral. This is the cost of the funeral. Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. Rumi has a line in another poem. He says, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. It really is about the work that we do. I cannot give you what I do not have. And whatever I do, unless you make a decision in yourself, I cannot change what your experience is. I can change your exterior surroundings, but I can't change what you're experiencing. That's the work that you have to do. What my part is to do it for me. And when you see me do it, I represent the possibility that you can do it. When Roger Bannister broke that 4-minute mile, it was like, well, hey, none of us have to run for slow as 4 minutes. And they started breaking it. And now if you don't run at least a 3-something or quicker, you're not running. You're not even in the league of being able to compete. He also said, and I think this was powerful, he said, you have to see this moment for what it is, right? This moment with just hang on, baby. Okay, just hang on. Come sit with me. That this moment, this is something is, if you can really get, I know, but you gotta just be quiet for me. Just give me a second, okay? Okay.
I want purple paper.
So this moment, something is being birthed through you. Something wonderful is coming through you. It's coming through us collectively in this country, but it's also coming through us individually in our own experiences. And so what we have to remember, don't do that, baby. Take that out, is that this is a polishing moment. This is a polishing moment. The varnish is being, I know. Just give me 1 second, okay? This is a polishing moment. And so the varnish is being taken off so that the shine can come through. And something he says that I thought was powerful. He says, if you irritated by every rub, how is your mirror going to be polished? You being the mirror, how is your mirror going to be polished if you are irritated by every rub? And so this moment, if you can really get that something wonderful is being birthed through me and through us right now. And I'm not going to complain about this moment. I'm going to show up for this moment. Maybe what is coming through me is a greater.
What is this?
It's a cord, baby. Just hang on. Maybe what is coming.
Why are you sticking on your hair?
Just give me 1 second. Maybe what is coming through us is greater compassion. Maybe that part of ourselves had been dead and we needed this experience to open us up. I don't know. But the point is that something wonderful is being birthed through us, and our job is to let it happen, not to fight it, but to really let it happen. And so in review, the 4 life hacks to end suffering is don't forget who you are. Don't forget who you are, that you are the life force behind the body that's moving around. You're not the body. You're not the body. And then identify with I am only. that to put yourself in that hypnagogic state and to begin to affirm, I am, I am, I am, I am, until you drop all of the labels and you are at one with God. And then cleanse your understanding, because you can't do what you don't understand. You cannot do what you don't understand. And so you have to cleanse your understanding that if you find yourself stopped anywhere in your experience, that if you find yourself stopped in any area of your experience, that it is absolutely something that you do not understand. And so in your prayer time, begin to ask for clarity. And then finally, look at your true self. That whatever space you may be in, you might be in the fight of your life. Perhaps somebody is trying to take all that you have, and maybe they want to bankrupt you. They want to, and they want to bankrupt you emotionally and financially. Get in the mirror and look at your true self and see that they can't touch you. See that they don't have the ability to touch you, and that your connection to your true self ends your suffering, baby. Hush. Ends your suffering. It ends it. And so choose not to suffer. Choose not to suffer. Ask yourself the question, am I ready to end my personal suffering? Am I ready to end my personal suffering? And then I challenge you to do the exercise that Reverend Della gave us. And that is to get in the mirror, look in your eyes until you see your real self. Don't leave the mirror until you see beyond the physical expression. Don't run away from the assignment. I can't remember. She asked us for several weeks running, did you do the assignment? Did you do the assignment? And everyone was like, oh, I forgot. Oh, I forgot. And I remember one person said she did look and it brought her to tears. But the point is that you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be afraid. Who you are is better than anything you ever could have imagined. And if you would simply take the time to connect with you, everything in this world opens up to you. Any questions? Any questions? I got a couple of. Constance says, yes, a world of peace. Whose definition of peace, yours or mine? Eve says, I will do it tonight. Yes. It's a powerful exercise. It's a game changer. All right, Joe. Good. Joe says, I'm doing the assignment. Yes. If this webinar helped you, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe and share it with a friend. I want to see this get out. I want to see this get out. Share it with somebody and say, look, you need to make the time to watch this. This is worth your effort. Is that what it's called? Oh, the hypnagogic is where you're between the waking state, but you're saying even the one where you're in paralysis or feels like paralysis, that one is, it's called like, maybe hypnagogic hallucination is what that is. Okay, baby, I got you. You want ice cream? Go ask Mike for it. He's downstairs, okay? I'm coming.
He's leaving.
No, he's not leaving just yet.
Yes, he did.
Okay. Mommyhood.
Michael?
Shh. Okay. Have a lovely, lovely evening. Next week, we will be talking about interval of time. Interval of time.
Michael.
Shh. Don't do that, babe. Okay. Thank you. Have a... Shh. Just hang on, honey. Okay. Good night, everybody.
I punch you and me.
Oh, Joe says good night, Jordan.
And I.
All right. Good night, guys. Stop.
Do it like